Welcome to another interesting program, What God Can Do. We have Bishop Michael Reid with us, who is the founder of What God Can Do Ministries and the Bishop of the Global Gospel Fellowship. And we also have Dr. Ruth Reid, the co-founder of What God Can Do Ministries. Today we have a very interesting guest with us, Bishop Mark Nicholson of Acts Christian Church. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
We're going to have a very interesting discussion today about restoration, Bishop. So could you begin the program with that discussion?
Well, I'm glad Mark's with us,
Yes.
Bishop Mark. He wrote a book called
Assassination or restoration or assassination.
yes. My wife starts with the assassination bit. Nothing personal, I hope. But the thing is that so often in the church today,
Yes.
when a minister makes a mistake,
Yes.
instead of those who are spiritual getting round to restore, and restoration means to restore back to the place they were at before they fell, it becomes assassination. So we went to a conference in Croydon where Bishop Mark was dealing with the situation, because within the black churches and within the white churches and within the mixed churches and within every church, there is this feeling of envy and jealousy and church boards, which are usually governed by demons, and people who get into power, and it becomes political, and it becomes really a nasty situation. And it was happening so much that Bishop Mark wrote the book and called a conference. And it was at that point that we had a little trouble with the demonic side. And we began to look, and he stepped in with other bishops to help us, because he realized what was happening. So it was from that perspective that we met. And it's so important, because in the Church of Jesus Christ, the true ministries are few, and the enemy of our souls tries to fix on those, to destroy them, to silence their voice. And if you're a strong voice, there's the world out there wanting to shut you up. There's the religious people wanting to shut you up. And then there's people who want to take over what you've built, wanting to shut you up as well. So in all, you're shut up by a lot of people.
Accepted.
And then there are the true men of God who realize, hey, this is the work of the enemy. We've got to stop it. And so the book was written, and I went to the conference, and I was horrified to hear the testimonies of some of the people and how they'd been treated. I mean, it was what I would call, not horrific from Mark's point of view, but Bishop Mark was trying to say, hey, there's another way of living. This is a biblical way. And so it turned back to say, why aren't the churches doing what's biblical?
Well, it'll be interesting if Bishop Nicholson would just tell us more about the book and why he wrote that book.
I wrote this book, again, thank you very much for allowing me to be on this program. It's a pleasure to share. I think the book really drawed out of a lot of pain that I've been hearing a lot of ministers have been going through. And we thought it would be only wise just to put on such a conference there. Now, I think what was really interesting putting this conference on in Croydon was there was a lot of ministers that I had contact and told them that I'd be putting such conference on, and had known about certain things that they had gone through. And they did say to me in confidence that if they did come, they would just want to listen, but would not want to make any big contribution, because it would have brought up a lot of pain of the past. Well, it was just really great to see the amount of people that did come, twofold, to support, and to hear how do we get through this, and how to raise it to the point where people can now understand that ministers or people in clergy are not immune for restoration. They should be treated like anybody else. There's a lot of biblical scriptures there that also would be support. And it was amazing from the conferences we began to look at the way of how to put in place the mechanisms to help a minister or the minister's wife or their children, and how the church should take responsibility. And, you know, the pain that they had felt, and felt if they did come along, all they would like to do is just to observe, just to watch and to see what would have happened. but didn't want to contribute in the sense of sharing their story. It was private to them and very painful. But the conference itself opened up so many avenues as far as what was the mechanism that should be put in place scripturally, and also proper structures to ensure if something like this happened in a ministry, that individuals could be restored over time. I never said 6 months, I didn't say 3 months, I didn't say 1 year, I didn't say 2 years. But they've got to understand that that minister is given by God, had brought the church to the next level, something has happened, and so the ministry needs to make sure there are sufficient mechanisms to ensure that minister or that leader to be restored. The conference was so well, I said, attended, but what came out of it was that even individuals who had already said they wouldn't want to say anything felt that they were in a wonderful atmosphere to share their pain.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, this was amazing because many of the ministers went up to say things. I looked at them in a way to say, but you told me you don't want to say anything about this because you were afraid of the pain that might come forward. And it was just from that opportunity of sharing what they went through and hearing other ministers talk about how they were treated, felt that they wasn't isolated or alone.
That's
It
right.
was just great also to share the book and the principles and the steps of how a church should restore its minister. And to say that ministers, again, are not immune from falling down. We fall down, but we get up. And the prayer at the end and the exchanging of contacts, keeping each other in prayer, was just a fantastic way of closing the conference, walking away with a book that will be a part of the mechanism of how to make that restoration happen in the scriptures.
Yeah.
And according to their church. And they were saying there is nothing, as far as we're concerned, in this country, this was that would help us or enable us to ensure that we can to help a minister who's fallen back into their right.
Join us at our weekly services, Thursdays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. at the Ilford Sports Centre, 486 High Road, Ilford, IG1 1UE, or you can telephone 01277 375 753, or you can log on at www.whatgodcandoministries.com. We look forward to seeing you.